Happy New Year. Good afternoon, and welcome to the Caddo Parish Commission first work session of 2020. I hope you all have enjoyed your holidays. At this time, we'll have our roll call by Deputy Clerk, Ms. Michelle Nations.
Dominic,
Present.
Lyndon Johnson, Jackson, Lynn, Bowman,
Present.
Hawthorne,
Present.
H. Watts, Middleton,
Present.
Atkins,
Here.
Chavez, Smith,
Here,
Lewis
ma'am.
Johnson. We have a quorum.
Thank you, ma'am. At this time, we'll ask Parliamentarian Gerald Bowman to lead us in the invocation and Vice President Chavez to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. Please silence your cell phones and stand with us.
Everyone, please bow your heads. Father God, we come to you this day, Lord, just thanking you, Lord. Thanking you, God, for just your mercy. Thank you for your forgiveness of all sins, Lord. Thank you, Lord, for looking out not only for the city, but parish. Thank you, God, for even looking out for our military people here, not only on soil, our soil, but away from their homeland, defending us right now, Father God. Father God, I thank you right now and ask that you continue to bless not only this commission, Lord, but even the new members who are coming, Lord. Help everyone to understand their true purpose and that it's not about any of them who have the title, but it's about what God wants to do through them and us in unity. Even when we disagree, Lord, let us all understand our purpose and let them understand their purpose, Father God. And Lord, I ask that you bless not only the commissioners, but everyone in this room, Lord, beyond what's in front, Lord. Bless them in their lives, Lord. Dispatch your angels right now around everyone in here right now, God. I ask that you provide protection, guidance, as I also ask that, Lord, for myself. Lord, I ask that you just continue, Lord, to strengthen them, strengthen us, and Lord, bless our president, Father God, and his family as well. It's in these and other blessings we ask in your son, Jesus' name, amen.
Amen.
If all in the room will place your right hand over your heart, veterans may render a hand of brow salute. Repeat after me. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Parliamentarian Bowman and Vice President Chavez. And I would just ask that we continue to keep the Bowman family in our prayers during their time of bereavement and throughout their lives. We love you and we're here for you. Ms. Nations,
Agenda additions, I don't have any.
I have none.
Now we go to citizens' comments.
I don't have any cards. Citizens who wish to address the commission must fill out a comment card and forward to the president or the clerk of the commission. Comments by any citizen will be limited to 3 minutes.
We have no visitors, so we move to reports, administration report.
Okay. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Happy New Year to one and all.
Happy New Year.
Happy
Mr.
New Year.
Bowman, my public condolences to you and your family.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
And your family have quite a reputation and legacy in our community for doing exceptional work
Yes, sir.
on all fronts. So we're going to miss your father, and we appreciate the work that he has done as well as your mom and your brother and yourself.
I appreciate
So thank you for
that.
your
Thank you.
service.
Thank you.
Commissioners, we just want to remind you all on the 17th of January, we have the employee annual recognition pin ceremony. Will be taking place at the Agricultural Center at 2 o'clock. So I'd like to invite you all, as well as commissioners-elect, to come and join us at the Fairground Ag Center at 2 o'clock. We recognize some employees been here as long as 30 years, from 30 down to 5 years.
Awesome.
And that concludes my brief comments today, ma'am. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Wilson.
Now we move to commission remarks.
Okay. Parliamentarian Bowman.
Yes, ma'am. I just want to be, of course, brief. I always say. I just want to thank everybody, those who came, those who called. I want to thank the commission for the arrangements and that was sent, and I'm very grateful for everything. And I also want to tell John Atkins, thank you, because you became a friend, not financially, but out of everybody. He was the one that always, even before this, checked on me, looked out for me. And I thank you. I thank you, of course, because I know it's hard for you, Stormy, because a lot of people don't know my dad was a surrogate father to Stormy. and was an adopted type dad for her husband and his brothers, and used to he cut their hair when they were kids, and her children, all of her children's, her boys' hair. And we've always been a family. That's why you always see us close, that no matter what, good and bad, we are family. So thank you, thank everybody, but I will have to stop now. Thank y'all. Everybody just keep me in your prayers beyond now.
We will.
Thank you, Parliamentarian Bowman. I don't see anyone else on the board. And
No.
if you are on the board and I don't recognize you, please just raise your hand to let us know our computers are not working.
Now we move to President's report.
Okay. I just have something brief. I'm just gonna start on a little something for Thursday. I just want to say that I'm pleased to have had the opportunity to serve as the president of the commission. The endless days and longer nights have been worth every second of sacrifice on this journey. I thank my colleagues for their support in allowing me to facilitate our meetings with poise and fluency. I want to thank administration for your full support on helping us to remain adaptable and responsive to complex situations. As we stand at the leading edge of a time of amazing developments, both within our community and the larger world, I am confident, working side by side with many of you, that we are up for the task at hand. I'm grateful for the quality of lives we have improved in Caddo Parish, yet I'm eager to take a leap of faith in producing even greater results for our future. As we continue to run this race by being proactive, innovators, world changers, I am looking forward to our goals by shaping the future of Caddo Parish. I close by saying thank you to this team, and my personal respect goes out to each of you. That concludes my president's report for today.
You're not done yet. You still got another minute.
I know.
Just one more. Maybe we'll take a ride on that journey on Thursday. Next item, Ms. Michelle.
We have no old business, so we move to new business. Authorized introduction of ordinance number 5941.
Okay, that was moved
Second.
by Commissioner Linda B. Johnson. That was second by Commissioner Doug Dominic. Commissioner Johnson, did you want to speak? Okay. I see no discussion, and I made an announcement before Commissioner Jackson and Johnson arrived. If you need to speak and I don't recognize you, please let me know by hand. The computers are not working here. Okay? I see no further discussion. Please vote. Okay, and that passes 10-0.
Madam President?
Yes, sir.
Can I just revisit that? I'm sorry, I was attending your other business when it came up. May I ask that we have the Tourism Bureau run an economic evaluation of this like they've did in years past, and get a report for Thursday?
Administration? Okay,
Thank you.
you're welcome.
They already have one.
Okay,
Just gotta get it. They already have.
You already have one?
okay.
Resolution number 1 of 2020, authorizing the Caddo Community Action Agency to administer the Head Start program.
Moved. Okay. Moved by the chair, seconded by Commissioner Doug Dominic. Hey, this is the program that we administer each year for the Caddo Community Action Agency for the, when I say phenomenal Head Start program, one of the best in this country, and we're very proud of it. So we ask for your support and continuing to support this organization's purpose. See no further discussion, please vote.
Is the voting just the speaking?
Okay, and that passes 10-0. Next item.
Resolution number 2 of 2020, to amend the Caddo Parish Commission bylaws to require resumes for commission appointments.
So move for introduction.
Second.
Okay, that was moved by Commissioner Stephen Jackson, and that was seconded by Commissioner John Atkins. Okay. Commissioner Jackson, would you like to speak on your motion? Okay. See no other discussion, please vote.
Just move to Thursday.
Yes. Okay, and that passes 10-0. Next item.
Resolution number 3 of 2020, approving the amended 2019 and the proposed 2020 budgets of North Louisiana Crime Lab Commission.
Moved by Commissioner Doug Dominic,
Second.
Second. Perfect. Rude, I'm sorry.
and that was second by Commissioner Mike Middleton. Commissioner Dominic, would you like to speak?
No, I think it's self-explanatory.
Okay, Commissioner John Atkins.
Well, I was just curious, Commissioner Dominic, who generates this budget and how do we end up with it?
It's something that's required each and every year that we have to do. It's the North Louisiana Criminal Laboratory Commission.
I remember.
Dr. Wilson, can you expound on that a little bit more?
So this is the regional crime lab we have, and Dr. Comer is the head of this, currently acting head of this agency, and this budget just flows through us.
All right, thank
Todd had asked, he called me and said he needed to be on the agenda. Could he use my name? I said, sure.
you. Okay, thank you.
So Dr. Wilson, that's why I let him explain it.
Thank you, Madam President.
Thank you, sir. Ready for the next one? Okay. Commissioner Stephen Jackson.
Oh, yes, I was just gonna make a motion, substitute motion to englobo and introduce resolution number 3, resolution number 4, and resolution number 5.
Okay.
You can ask a
Second.
question
I'll
as well.
second that. Okay.
Yeah, you can ask your question as well.
Okay.
My question is, was
Oh,
there
I
a-
wasn't, I don't know if she was ready to recognize you.
Oh.
but-
Excuse me, I'm sorry.
That's okay. Commissioner Jackson.
I'm done. That
You're
was
done?
mine.
Okay. I got you coming up, Commissioner Lynn. Commissioner Lyndon B. Johnson.
Yes, I was gonna ask the question about this just a pass through on the North Louisiana Crime Lab? Pass through budget?
Yeah, this is a state requirement.
It's required,
But it's-
it's a requirement, that the commission adopt that budget,
And that's why it's a resolution instead of an ordinance?
yeah.
Okay.
That's it, Commissioner?
Yes.
Johnson? Okay. Commissioner Matthew Lynn.
Was there a new crime lab built on Linwood, right at Claiborne? And is that building empty or occupied?
Occupied.
It's occupied now? And so there is funding to occupy it, and they are operating, and they've moved everything over there?
Yes, sir, it's a regional crime lab for the, I think, 15 parish region.
I know that it was built. For some reason, I was thinking that at some point that there was no funding to occupy it. The funding is there and it is occupied now?
Yes, sir.
And they've moved everything to that location?
Yes, sir.
Okay. That's all, Madam President. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Lynn. Okay, I see no further discussion. Please vote. Okay, that passes 10-0.
Consider extending time to review and consider MPC case number 19-304-P regarding proposed new Article 22 of the UDC.
So move for introduction.
Second.
Okay, that was moved by Commissioner Stephen Jackson and second by Vice President Chavez. Commissioner Jackson, would you like to speak on your motion?
I just asked the parish attorney's office to give us some information prior to final consideration.
Commissioner, basically, this is an action item. When they send up legislation, you all have 90 days to adopt it, and the ordinance also provides that you can extend that another 90 days. So we're running to the edge of the time limit to review this particular legislation, so that's why it's on to extend it for another 90 days for you all to review the legislation and make a recommendation to the body on what to pass and what not to pass. So that's all this is.
I assume the specific case is somewhere.
It's not, it's just given a case number. It's actually all the changes recommended for that entire ordinance.
Oh, okay. Gotcha. Okay, thank you. That's it for me.
Okay. Commissioner Lyndon B. Johnson.
Yeah, that was my question. What was the case? But you saying it's all the
It's not a
amendments?
specific piece
It's
of
the
property
amendments.
or a case. It's all the amendments related to that chapter that need to be reviewed and either adopted or not.
Okay. I'm done. Thank you.
Okay. Vice President Chavez.
Thank you, Chair. So, Attorney, when this goes on Thursday, when we vote on it, it'll pass and it'll be a 90 days, correct?
It will just give you an extra 90 days to take it to committee, review it, come back and act on it.
Okay.
It does not pass or defeat the actual legislation. It's just time to review the legislation.
Okay. Thank you, Attorney Fraser. Thank you, Chair.
All right. I see no further discussion. Please vote. Okay, and that passes 10-0.
Request the registrar of voter to send formal letter to the Secretary of State for approving early voting site satellite locations in Caddo Parish.
Moved by the chair.
Second.
Second by Commissioner Stephen Jackson. Commissioners, this is a request as stated to send a formal letter to the Secretary of State about the much talked about early voting satellite locations in Caddo Parish. So I continue to ask for your support in providing this necessary information so that we can start taking necessary steps to get an early voting, early satellite voting location in Caddo Parish. Commissioner Atkins.
Thank you, Madam President. What specifically are we asking for? Are we asking for a certain number of sites to be approved, or?
We're asking for them to look at Caddo Parish and compare to the other parishes in Louisiana that has early voting locations. And we only have one centralized one at this time. We know that it would be most feasible for us to have at least two. So we're just asking for them to look at Caddo Parish and the size of our municipality and see what we deserve to have as an early voting satellite location here in Caddo Parish.
Okay, thank you, Madam President. I would just like to point out that although it's never been stated as an issue in District 9, District 9 actually has the worst, how do I say this, the most voters for the least number of voting sites in the parish, according to data that was pulled together by someone that was in the Registrar of Voters process. For example, District 9 has 3,233 voters per voting site, and District 7, for an illustrative example, has 1,862. So it's actually, it seems to be worse in the south part of the parish. I don't know how Commissioner, how the other commissioners in that area work out, but just wanted to raise that point. Thank you very much, Madam President.
You're welcome, sir. Commissioner Stephen Jackson.
Yes, I'd like to add to, I spoke with Mr. Sibley to be clear right now under the statute. I believe either Woody or Erica or Donna has had the conversations as well. The way the statute was set up, Caddo Parish can add an early voting location right now. He can add one right now. What we are requesting is so the statute was set up, but it then becomes an administrative procedure on how the statute is implemented. And so what we are doing is we're asking the registrar of voters to submit his plan or his request to the Secretary of State's office to get approval of his plan. Prior to that plan going forward, we would ask the registrar to at least submit that plan to the commission body for us to have an opportunity to talk about, discuss. We're not picking any sites with this letter. We're just asking that a plan go forward to be able to expand. But right now, and I believe we actually budgeted funds in 2020 for that additional site.
Yes.
We would have two sites, basically the way the statute was written. That site would be the main downtown location as well as another site that we choose. But right now, the way Mr. Sibley is reading the statute and interpreting the statute is that we, before we add any others now, I have been in conversation with, I believe it's Joe Salter, former Speaker of the House, who also is working with, who also now works at the Secretary of State's office, on how we can further go about it. He seems to believe that we can just go and do it. But Mr. Sibley seems to think that there's a plan that has to go forward. And so we're deferring to our registrar on how to go forward first. But there has been some additional conversation that has taken place. This letter would just basically start that process, but we can add a second location right now, right here today, if we chose to do that. But to do anything beyond that second location, we seem to believe would not necessarily require legislative approval because the statute was already there. It just would require a plan to be approved by the Secretary of State. So that's what this is. Hopefully that gives some more clarity as to why we're doing this. Thank you, Madam President.
Thank you, Commissioner Jackson. Commissioner Lynn Carthorne.
Thank you, Madam President. I think Stephen Jackson answered the first part of my question, but the second part of the question I have, and from what he just explained, the registrar of voters at this point right now could select another location if he chooses to do so right now without having to send something to the Secretary of State's office. And the second part of that, since you had a conversation, I would refer to Commissioner Jackson, since you had a conversation with him, it's his plan to survey Caddo Parish and see where that, okay. So we didn't make any recommendations. That's gonna be all upon his evaluation.
Well, I think had a conversation with Dr. Wilson.
Yes, that's correct.
But what I have encouraged them to do, and I'm sure we would all encourage them to do, is get with the commission body prior to any final plan being submitted, so that they can so we can make sure that it's a conversation that's, encompass what Commissioner Atkins just mentioned, and encompass what the sentiments of the members around this horseshoe, those sentiments as well.
Okay, so we'd be looking for something that'll be feasible and make sense for the parish as a whole.
Correct.
Okay, gotcha. Thank you, Madam President.
Thank you, sir. I see no further discussion. Please vote. Okay, and that passes 9-1. Next item, Ms. Clerk.
Authorize reappointment of Miss Susan Stevenson to Fire District Number 4 Board, term to expire January 1st, 2022.
Motion to postpone this 2 weeks
Second.
until the next body takes office.
Okay. That was motioned by Commissioner Matthew Lynn to postpone, and that was seconded by Commissioner John Atkins. Commissioner Lynn, would you like to speak on your motion?
No, I had a request by a new member, and I think that we need to allow that postponement for the new body to choose.
Okay. Thank you. Commissioner Atkins.
I concur with Commissioner Lynn's statements.
Okay. Vice President Chavez.
Thank you, Chair. I support the delay. I know Commissioner Smith didn't put this on here. It just got put on there automatically because it was District 11 reappointment. And I know the Commissioner-elect had showed up to talk to them, and they were going to decide together. But in his absence, sure, I'll just support moving it to the 23rd, and they'll vote then. Thank you, Chair.
Okay. Commissioner Stephen Jackson.
Yes, Attorney Frazier, I just wanted to be clear that the legislation that we have about requiring the resumes does not include water districts as well as fire districts, right?
Correct.
So this wouldn't, those water districts and fire districts like this would not include this particular scenario here. Thank you.
All right. I see no further discussion. Please vote.
It's a motion to postpone.
That passes 10-0.
And just to be clear, Madam President, that was the motion to postpone?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Thank you very much.
You know.
And, I just wanted everyone to watch.
Y'all heard all those, Madam President?
That was for the benefit of the audience.
Yes. All right. Next item, please.
Authorize appointment of Eddie Festivan to the Shreveport-Bossier Convention and Tourist
So
Bureau.
moved.
Second.
Okay, that was moved by Commissioner Doug Dominic and second by Commissioner Mike Middleton. Commissioner Dominic, would you like to speak on your motion?
Sure, this is appointment to the Shreveport-Bossier Convention and Tourism Board. It's normally a appointment from North Caddo Parish. Ms. Festivan, and I spoke to Todd about this, so there shouldn't be a problem with the new commission. He's supporting this too. So I would ask that this get moved forward.
Okay. Commissioner Lyndon B. Johnson.
I was gonna ask, with this rule appointment, and then if y'all gonna be consistent, y'all be consistent with whatever y'all wanna do. It don't matter to me. I'm done.
I don't know if they heard.
Yeah, typically it is. I hope, I didn't ask her for a resume, this one or the next one, but, I kind of thought the way the resume would happen would be those appointments, which were kind of the MPC, the industrial board that's appointed by all of us, some of those bigger ones, so. Like to move this forward, get her appointed. I've spoken to Todd. He's, very supportive of this also.
Okay. Commissioner Lyndon B. Johnson.
Oh, yeah. Did y'all hear what I said, though?
I'll do it again. I'm gonna make sure.
Oh, I'm just saying that, well, first question was, I was making sure that this was a rule appointment. And then the second one is if y'all gonna be consistent or not.
That's the part I thought.
That's,
Okay.
that's the other part.
Everybody hear that one.
Chair, can I get a point of order on the consistency? I didn't understand.
Absolutely.
Well, the last one y'all said y'all was gonna wait until the next body come up. This one, you wanna see if you wanna move forward with it, so
I
I'm just
understand.
asking a question, that's all. Thank you.
Okay.
Just being consistent, I just wanna.
Commissioner Stephen Jackson.
Yes, I want to keep on the line of consistency about a requisite for a resume. Last meeting, I put forward the individual who was capable and able and willing to serve and didn't have a resume. We have a resume for him now. And so either we are, my thing is either we're going to require these resumes for board appointments, or are we not going to require them? And if that's something that we want the new body to take up, I see a couple of our commissioner-elects sitting out there, but what we can't do is we cannot pick and choose when we want a resume and when we don't want a resume. This is exactly why I put forth resolution number 2, so that we don't have to we want a resume for this, but we don't want a resume for that. I'd like to be more consistent, because now it confuses me on who requires a resume and who shouldn't require a resume. I think we should require an across-the-board requirement, and if we're going to exempt those like the fire districts and the water district, then we need to exempt those. But there needs to be some level of consistency here, and I don't see that in this particular case here. So that's my reservation, at least for now. Thank you, Mr. Acting President.
Thank you, Commissioner. Commissioner Atkins.
Thank you, Mr. Acting President. I support Commissioner Jackson's position on this. I think that we should be consistent. We should establish a rule and then stick by that rule. That being said, the rule is not yet in place. It's on the agenda for consideration, and it might get adopted right before Commissioner Dominic's 2 candidates come up. So this is, this is kind of a gray area with respect to our next meeting. I'm certainly willing to work with Commissioner Dominic and overlook the resume requirement for the candidates that are on this agenda right now. But moving forward, I certainly agree with Commissioner Jackson that we should strive to be consistent on those matters once we get a rule in place.
Yeah.
Thank you.
All right.
Okay.
Okay.
Did Dominic speak already?
Okay. Commissioner Doug Dominic.
Yeah, I would, don't mind the resume, and I don't mind the consistency. But, if we're gonna have exemptions on the fire districts and water district, that Ward 2 industrial appointment, that's in my district, it's so I think that one would need to be 2, maybe not the Shreveport-Bossier Convention, but the hospital board districts, I would like, I would think they need to be in there too. The problem is an exemption. The problem you have, I just use Mr. Jimmy Wood. I asked him for a resume. He's an older guy, retired, has time. We have difficult finding good quality people, but I'll get a resume for you. I'll get a resume for you. So, I think that part ought to be an exception. It's just no difference really from the fire district or water district. You're gonna have a fire district and water district, and typically what we've had is any resumes that were submitted were for those appointments that were kind of more of the parish-wide issue.
Okay. Let's see, Commissioner
Hope I
Dominic.
didn't confuse my fellow Commissioner Jackson.
That's it, sir?
Yes, sir.
All right. Yes,
Ma'am.
ma'am. Chavez.
Thank you, President. I know on the, my previous point of order for the consistency, I know we're referring to the resume, but I know Commissioner LBJ was referring more towards the current board or the incoming board to pick it. So I wanted to clarify the difference between that. I wholeheartedly agree with Commissioner Jackson on absolutely putting the resume in place. I know when we did the ZBA board 2 years ago, I brought forth that legislation and would like to go one step further and say a letter of recommendation as well, possibly two, from some local people that say, hey, I think this would be a good fit for this person for this appointment. I know I asked Mr. Hopkins for a list of all the board appointments that the commission votes on, because I do understand the issue with Commissioner Doug Dominic and do we appoint or do we force the resume on the entire parish-wide appointments, or should we make them more district-specific? I think maybe going to a committee on Thursday, and we'll vote on this on Thursday, after we have those appointments the commission's going to appoint on. Mr. Hopkins told me he'll send that to us tomorrow when he gets back. So we'll be able to see all the appointments that the commission appoints. And then from there, we'll have a dialed-down list of, is this the full body or is this district-specific? And I think if we got to send it to a committee, we can do that. But I'm in accordance with you. I think we need the resume for every single person. It may be hard to ask some people to get us a resume, but if they can't even get us a resume, I don't think they should serve on a specific board that's going to be asked of them to do a lot more than just provide a one-page, are you the best person for the job? So I'm looking forward to that passing, but I'm also looking forward to that list from Hopkins to see which all appointments do we need to go forth on. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Vice President Chavez. Commissioner Matthew Lynn.
Commissioner Dominic answered my question, and that I would hope that Mr. Festerman could come up with a resume before Thursday, and I would demand it based on the simple fact that a gentleman who was willing to serve was refused that opportunity solely on the basis that there was not a resume. And I would vote no on anything solely on the basis that there's not a resume at this point, because we've already set that precedence. And so anyway,
I'll try to get one.
I hope that the resume will be forth. Thank you. That's all, Madam President.
Thank you, sir. Parliamentarian Bowman.
Thank you, Madam President. I just want to say,
Edie, it's actually Edie.
I agree, Brother Jackson, everybody. We should be consistent. I've said that before on a lot of stuff relating to this. I have a solution, I think, and that is whether it's the water board, the fire district, somebody serving on the sports commission, or anything else, you're serving. So what I'm serving once, and we meet once every 6 months, or we meet bi-weekly or quarterly. Whoever the board is and that they're on, these persons are serving, they're serving, representing the people, but ultimately us as well, because we're appointing them. So I say everybody should have a resume for everything. And the reason I say that, someone said I'm confused, and someone else said I'm confused. Well, that's the sign and the mantra sometimes of Satan, the enemy. And sometimes confusion up here, I've noticed, is not saying that this particular thing is, but as an example of, sometimes we put things out as elected officials to confuse others by being inconsistent. Because, an example, you even ask this person. So if someone wants to do something, whether it's a paid job or unpaid job, then if you told them that one requirement, they should have had it in, period. And if you wanted them, anybody else, so much so bad, you should have typed that resume up for them by now. So, to end that, I say, at Kroger, if I wanted to be a bagger, I have to still fill out a resume. Any position this day, you got to fill out a resume. We should want to know who we're putting on the board and who's going to be doing what, at least if they even live in the parish. So with that being said, be consistent and have everybody turn in their resume for anything that they want to do. Thank you, Madam President.
Thank you, Parliamentarian Bowman. Commissioner Mike Middleton.
Thank you. I'm a little confused. I thought we were authorizing appointment of Edie Festerman, but it seems like we were revisiting number 2. resolution number 2 by Commissioner Jackson requiring resumes. If we're doing that, I'm gonna, Monday or Thursday, I'm gonna be asking that we add that you must, provide a criminal background check when you do your resumes. Anyhow, I'm through for now. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Middleton.
Can't wait to Thursday.
Deputy Clerk.
Show me how.
I have two things. One, resolution number 2 is a bylaw change,
Megan.
so it's a 2-week layover. And then the second thing is to Mr. Chavez. Mr. Hawkins is retired. He's not coming back tomorrow.
Well,
So,
looks like we know who's gonna get us the information then. Time to
Miss
order.
Michelle, she's very capable of doing everything, actually.
So that,
thank you.
that resolution number 2 can't pass Thursday anyway.
It's got layover. And it has to have a supermajority.
Sorry,
It has to have a supermajority.
Okay, Jim.
I didn't hear you.
It has to have a
supermajority.
supermajority.
Right.
Okay. I just know Michelle can do anything up here, and she's done it. That's all. I know that's tea and shade. I'm done.
Second, thank you, Deputy Clerk Michelle Nations. Commissioner Lyndon B. Johnson.
Yeah, thank you, Madam President. It's just that when you're talking about fire districts and water districts, which most of y'all don't have, it's very hard to find people who want to serve on those, and in sewer districts as well.
Agree.
It's difficult. I mean, a lot of people don't want to be involved in that, and so to even require them to do a resume, you kind of get to know people in your area, and so based upon the knowledge of people and just kind of asking them and keep asking them to do it, they will basically do it, and it's only in that district in which that person is representing. So if I appoint a person on a water board in District 2, it doesn't affect the commission in District 9 or District 7 or District 5 or District 10. It's just gonna affect District 2. So I think the resume part is if there was a parish-wide appointment, then it's reflective of all the commissioners up here. And so that's the reason why we wanted to have a resume, so we would know who we are voting for and representing the parish as a parish appointee. You know, I for the ones that I appoint, I mean, I go through my own little vetting process and basically will bring that to you. If I don't feel comfortable with that person, I won't bring them to you. There's been some on the agenda that I said, I don't want to vote on them, take them off. So I just think we need to have that leeway and that courtesy for that commissioner in that particular area. Because if you had an appointment in your district, you would want it to be the same way. You also have the industrial boards. I have one in North Shreveport, Doug has one, and I think it's another one in 12, and I might be missing one, 7? Okay, well, so there are, yeah, he has a hospital board that's basically isolated to this North Caddo Parish. So we just need to just, you know, because who he might select, nobody on his board might even know. And even looking at a resume, you still ain't gonna know who they are. So this is something we might wanna just look at and consider when we vote 2 weeks from now, or 4 weeks from now. Yeah, I'm just trying to know.
That's it, Commissioner Johnson.
That's it.
Vice President Chavez.
Call for the question.
Second. Okay.
Y'all don't wanna talk about this no more?
They don't want to talk about you.
Okay. Please vote on calling for the question.
System
And
was
the
down.
system is down.
Yeah.
Vote by
For a
hand,
reason.
please.
I vote we get a new system.
And that passes unanimously. Now, at this time, we are voting on
God work in mysterious way.
Advance.
Deputy
Voting.
Clerk advancing.
To Thursday, the appointment of Miss Edie Festivan to the Shreveport Bossier Convention and Tourist Bureau.
Okay.
Contingent on the resume coming.
This is Jim.
Okay. That passes unanimously.
He said you're gonna try to get a resume.
Yeah, I just sent her a text. Or sent her
Okay.
husband, we're all good.
Thank you. Next item, please.
The next item is to appoint Mr. Jimmy Wood to fill the seat vacated by the resignation of Mr. Ronald Hall.
Move to Thursday.
Second.
Okay, it's moved by Commissioner Mike Middleton. I'm sorry, Commissioner Doug Dominic, and second by Commissioner Mike Middleton. No, Commissioner Dominic, would you have any comments? Would you like to speak on your
The only
motion?
thing I would say is this is specifically one of those that Commissioner Johnson was talking about. I have older gentleman. I can tell you, I think he graduated from LSU, was a county agent for a while, but for the last 40 years, he's fixed roofs and recently retired and would step up and serve, and it's kind of hard to find people, and I don't think a little bit difficult to get a resume from him.
Okay. Thank you, sir. Commissioner Mike Middleton, are you on the board to
I think
speak?
that's from last time.
Okay.
Thank you.
Are we back up?
Not yet.
Okay. Please vote by hand.
We're not up?
That passes.
Mr.
Unanimous.
Bowman, what was your vote? Yes?
Yes, ma'am. I was more focused on keeping my mouth closed this time.
The next item is to appoint Mr. Marvin Muhammad to the Industrial Development
Move
Board.
to Thursday.
Madam President?
Okay. That was moved by Commissioner Stephen Jackson. That was second by Commissioner Matthew Lynn.
Second.
Okay. And Commissioner Jackson, would you like to speak on your motion?
Yes. I'm gonna wait.
Okay. All right, and he's deferring at this time. I see you on the board. Commissioner John Atkins,
Are we work-
I
is
saw
that-
your hand.
Oh, we're working again.
Okay, we're
Uh,
working.
Thank you, Madam President. I would like to amend the motion to read, after Marvin Muhammad, read, quote, "or Mr. William Bradford Esquire," unquote. So
Second.
including Mr. William Bradford for consideration as well.
Second.
So it'd be this or that.
Okay, you have a substitute motion to add Attorney William C. Bradford to be considered for the appointment to the Industrial Development Board.
Yes.
Okay, and that was second by
Commissioner Middleton?
Commissioner Mike Middleton? Okay, and that was second by Commissioner Mike Middleton. Commissioner John Atkins, would you like to speak on that motion?
Yes. This is not intended to be negative against any particular candidate. I just think that Mr. William C. Bradford would be an excellent member on that board. He's an accomplished attorney, an accomplished city attorney for a number of years, and will come to that board with very valuable experience. And I request that we consider him for that appointment.
Okay.
Thank you, Madam
Commissioner.
President.
Thank you, Commissioner Atkins. Commissioner Stephen Jackson.
Yes, I'd like to make a substitute motion that we would introduce Mr. Marvin Muhammad and Mr. William C. Bradford to replace respectfully Mr. Lemar Flukas and Mr. Larry Ferdinand, if I can get a second.
Second.
Okay.
I can speak to my
Commissioner
motion.
Jackson?
Yes, had we had some conversation about this, we would have found that, one, I spoke to Mr. Flukers, and he has no problem stepping off this board. He's not going to do a letter of resignation. He feels that it's volunteer. He shouldn't have to resign. Everybody asked me to get Mr. Marvin Muhammad's resume. I have that resume. I have to just send it in. My emails got mixed up this weekend, but that's what you asked me to do, and that's what I did. Now here we are, putting Mr. William Bradford. I don't see this as a zero-sum situation. Mr. Ferdinand is willing to step aside as well. I had a brief conversation with him, and their thing is, if I may steal a quote from Mayor Perkins, is the table is big enough for everybody who wants to serve. I did not approach this as a get this one or that one type scenario. I think anybody who wants to step up to serve in this community should be afforded that opportunity. We just happen to be lucky enough this particular time to have two individuals who may want to serve and two individuals who don't mind stepping aside so someone else can serve in this case. So hopefully we will support moving both of these individuals forward to replace two individuals who are very dedicated to this community. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Jackson. Commissioner Lyndon B. Johnson.
Make a motion to table this until we get our new term.
Second.
Okay, that was second by, I'm sorry, there was a motion by
How many more
Commissioner
motions
Lyndon B.
can we do?
Johnson to table this until we get
New term.
a new term, and second by Commissioner Lynn Carthorne. Commissioner Lyndon B. Johnson, would you like to speak on your motion?
Yes, I just think that this one needs to be tabled. These potentially two individuals will be basically the face of the commission, and at that time we'll have 6 new members. So at that time, one of the 6 new members might have somebody to add to the mix, so just postpone it to then.
Okay? That's it.
Yes.
Thank you, Commissioner Lyndon B. Johnson. Commissioner John Atkins.
I was just gonna speak to, another matter. Did I see that, Mr. Ricky Hall had submitted a resignation from this board? Did I see a handwritten letter on that, or?
But he
Not to
wouldn't
my
do a
knowledge.
handwritten letter.
Ronnie?
Okay, I must be mistaken. My apologies. I was just trying to get some clarity. I thought we.
That's
made
a
another-
Ronald Hall.
That's a Ronald Hall. You're right. I'm looking at it right
It's a
now.
Ronald Hall on the Ward 2 Industrial
two.
Board.
Ah, I'm sorry. Okay.
He submitted it.
Yeah, Ricky Hall wouldn't do a written letter. It'd be tight.
Okay, sorry.
Yes.
Thank you, Madam President.
Okay.
I couldn't read it real well.
Yeah, it's kind of screwed.
Attorney Frazier.
That's probably my
I
bad.
just want to point out, without a resignation, unless the commission actually takes some action to remove those persons and they're amenable to that, they would still be the board members. So some action has to be taken to remove them from the board.
Thank you for clarifying that
That's more
for us,
reason to
Attorney Frazier.
postpone to the next time.
Okay. Commissioner Stephen Jackson.
I want to be clear because I think some things are being convoluted. We appointed, these terms expired.
Okay, so they are expired.
No. The terms had expired on December 31st. The reason why I postponed and agreed to postpone it to this meeting was because individuals indicated they wanted a resume. Now, here we come, and here's some people saying, well, I want somebody else to be considered. And now, for the first time, we're saying, well, the new board may want to consider. We didn't have a problem approving these appointments at the end of December. With this current board. Now here we are saying that we may want the new board. The new board we could have waited then and let the new board to decide all of those appointments and the appointments that we just did. So, Commissioner Atkins, I don't have a problem with Mr. William C. Bradford serving. If you don't have a problem with Mr. Marvin Muhammad serving, we have 2 people who want to serve, and we have 2 spots where they can serve at. I don't see the point in postponing this particular matter at this particular time. Again, the table is big enough for everybody who wants to serve to be able to serve. And we just happen to have a workable solution here at this particular point in time.
Okay.
Parliamentarian Bowman.
I just wanted to say, Madam President, thank you. What Commissioner Jackson said, I agree with no postponement on things that already expired that we're supposed to do while we're here. I did have a point of clarity. You said that, Commissioner Jackson, that he didn't turn, the confusion was he didn't turn in a resume or what? 'Cause I see Bradford's, but I don't see his.
I had to get it to Michelle, but there is a 1-page resume for Mr. Marvin Muhammad. He's a business owner in this community as well.
Oh,
But,
yeah.
that's my fault that they don't have a resume, not Mr. Muhammad's fault.
Yes, sir. I apologize.
But we'll have it by Thursday.
And I have a point of order. You said that the term is not expired, or is it expired
No,
for
the
Mr.
term-
Lamar Flukers?
If we recall that all of the terms expired at our meeting, Mr. Fluker's term had expired on August 22nd, 2019, and Mr. Ferdinand's term had expired on August 22nd, 2019. What
Right.
we did at the end of that meeting was we just went forward. If y'all recall, some folks had some reservations about replacing a person without having a resume on file for them, and I agreed, let's hold up, let's hold off. And so here we are in this meeting, ready to replace them, but we just went forward and moved them forward. That's all we did, but I think you called Mr. Flukas, and he was fine stepping aside.
And I think that one of the questions was, I don't remember it being expired. I thought that he needed to turn in a resignation letter, because I thought that was a lot of our reservations, that it wasn't expired, his term wasn't expired, and we were replacing someone without a resignation letter.
His
So
term,
it was.
No, his term had expired. It right here on our agenda says August 22nd, 2019.
Okay.
So it had expired, but what we did was went ahead and renewed them.
Okay.
At the end of the last meeting,
No.
the December 5th
December
meeting, there
5th,
was
right.
a list of end of the year
Right.
appointments, and the commission body voted to approve those appointments. So
Right.
all of those people that were on there,
Renewed.
they were reappointed. So now their terms are no longer expired.
Right.
Okay, so at this point, he is reappointed.
Correct.
Right, okay.
But he no
So we
longer
would
wants
still need the resignation letter.
Well, his thing is, we can't demand somebody submit a resignation letter for a volunteer position. His thing is, you know, if somebody else wants to serve, let them serve, and he's fine with letting them serve.
I understand his stance, but legally, our attorney is saying we
can't
will
fill it
have to
if
have
it's not a
it.
vacancy. So you can vote to remove him
Right,
and
we-
fill the vacancy. if
And
you
that's what
want
we're
to,
doing.
But there's gonna have to be a vacancy.
But that's
So
what
we
we're
have-
doing here, right?
We need two
No,
vacancies.
you're voting, all this is, representing it as an appointment. You actually gonna need to take a separate action to remove somebody from that seat in order to get somebody else appointed
We
to
didn't do that.
seat.
No, we don't have to do that.
Why wouldn't you?
We didn't do that when we didn't do that when we took somebody off this board to put Mr. Kyle McKinnis on there, and we didn't have to change him.
Actually, you
Somebody
all,
stepped down.
no, that term was expired.
Expired.
That was an expired term.
I'm fine. I'm fine with what we got.
Okay. Commissioner Parliamentarian Bowman?
No, ma'am, I didn't press that.
Okay, Commissioner Lynn Carthon?
Yes, Parish Attorney, Frazier just mentioned my concern. So what is it that we need to do as a body to create that vacancy?
You need to remove that person from that seat.
We could do it in a regular meeting or?
Yes.
Okay.
Just as
So-
long as they're given notice, that's fine.
Okay, so we need to do two of those, two vacancies.
That's fine.
We have one already, right?
No, we don't have a vacancy for either one, so we need to create two vacancies.
One of them was not renewed.
Both of them.
There's a vacancy.
All of
So
them will
we create
bring
two vacancies.
Move for a 3-minute recess.
Second.
It's recess.
Why didn't nobody say anything for today?
My understanding is that they serve at our pleasure.
That's what I'm saying. They serve it.
And as soon as you put somebody in there,
Your mic's back.
hold up here.
Not necessarily, I mean,
Attorney Frazier, isn't there a sign that says
do what now?
you can't come up here? Isn't there a sign?
Y'all voted against
Where'd
it.
that sign go?
Y'all went, I didn't want it. I didn't want that sign.
Moved by Commissioner Jackson, seconded by Bowman.
But the thing is, this is what Lisa did in order, and if she's saying that they need to turn in a resignation, I understand his personal stance, but we have to remove it. So we're still gonna have to do another agenda item.
Remove them and replace.
Can you do that as an amendment, or does it need to be a separate item?
This, what's on the agenda, all you're doing is an appointment. There's nothing on the agenda to remove. If you want to remove, give them notice that you want to remove them, and then have them removed and amended to do that.
Right.
But you got to show that you give them notice that they're being removed, and that vacancy is vacant.
Do we have a certain time stance that we need to give them, a removal?
You would need to give them, I would think, at least 24 hours notice that's required to,
Make agenda.
additions. I will look for, something specific in the statute.
Yes. Okay. Thank you.
Solve everything? Okay.
And then I just sent them a note.
Okay.
Right. Gerald, don't leave.
Hey, hey.
Oh, yes, indeed. Didn't let go. Oh, wow. Yeah, that's true. Oh my God. I thought that was you.
Person should be required to do it.
Meeting is called back to order.
That's the older guy.
Right, but at the same time, point of order.
Meeting is called back to order. Okay, Commissioner Carthorne had the floor. Were you done speaking?
Yes, I am, Madam President.
Okay. Commissioner Matthew Lynn?
I make a substitute motion to remove Larry Ferdinand and remove Lamar Flukers to be replaced with Marvin Muhammad and William C. Bradford.
Second.
Point of order.
How many?
Point of order, Commissioner Matthew Lynn. Attorney Frazier, is that a legal motion?
Wasn't our last one
Commissioner,
the
I don't
third?
think it's a problem. The only question that I have is whether or not the notice requirement, whatever it is, can be met, because I'm not sure of what that notice requirement is. I will research it and let you know by Thursday if there is a problem.
Okay.
And I'd like to speak
Commissioner
on that.
Lynn, you still have the floor.
Thank you. This body serves at the commission's pleasure, and any member can be removed at any moment for any reason or no reason.
That was my point.
That's
Without
all.
being an agenda item?
And we just added it to the agenda.
But wouldn't you need to do an agenda addition for that?
No, it's the idea that it's on here is, to my book, is it's on the agenda.
Okay.
It was on
It's
the
germane.
agenda under introduction.
Okay. Okay, thank you,
Thank
Commissioner Lynn.
Thank you, Madam President.
Okay, I see no other discussion. Commissioner Jackson?
I would just, Commissioner Lynn, if you would accept it as a friendly amendment with a 24-hour notice to those members.
I'll take that as a friendly note.
I still do not know if that's sufficient. I
Well-
still need to look at the statutory, make sure that there is no statutory requirement.
Yes,
But
ma'am.
again, like I said, I will let you know what I find out.
Why, we'll go with council.
Okay.
Okay, Commissioner Jackson.
That's it. I think
Okay.
we've over-convoluted.
Commissioner Lyndon B. Johnston.
Wouldn't the notice need to happen before it's on an agenda? Instead of before a vote?
You would need to have notice that that it's going to be on an agenda for whatever day that you all are going to consider it.
Alright. So Thursday. So in the work session, it's fine to throw somebody's name out to remove them from a board without giving them prior notice.
Well, this is why I'm telling you that I'm not sure what the notice requirements are and that I won't know until Thursday.
Well, my motion is still out there to postpone, so until the next term, which would be the January 13th after that.
23rd.
20.
20
Yeah, the
what?
following week.
Well, the
23rd.
20th, whatever it is. And
I
so
see now.
it would be, to me, advantageous for us to do it that way instead of threading on water like y'all trying to do. But y'all do what y'all do. I'm gonna vote my way.
That's it, Commissioner Lyndon B.
Yes,
Johnson?
it is.
Okay. Vice President Chavez?
I'll yield. Thanks, Chair.
Okay. Commissioner Stephen Jackson?
I just want to be clear that, again, I have spoken with these individuals, and they were fine with it. So it's not like this just was pulled out of thin air. So I just want to put that out there. I think this notice stuff has kind of been overcomplicated, but I'm fine with that. I don't want to break any laws, but they're aware of it. This wasn't just pulled out of thin air. So, thank you.
Okay. Thank you for making that statement. Commissioner Mike Middleton?
Call for the question on Commissioner L.B. Johnson's motion.
And all discussion. And all discussion.
And all discussion.
Second.
Okay. We're calling for the question. On all discussion?
Yes.
On this agenda item. Please vote. And that passes 10-0. The first,
The last motion first.
Yes.
To remove Mr. Flukers and Mr. Ferdinand from the Industrial Development Board.
And replace.
I'm sorry?
Wasn't there an and replace?
Yes, they're, and replace with Marvin Muhammad and William C. Bradford.
Okay.
So point of order, this will be moved to Thursday. We're not actually.
Just moving to Thursday.
Commissioner Bowman?
Okay. Hold on.
Commissioner Lynn?
I have pressed something.
okay, and that fails. Okay,
Epically.
next motion.
It would be to delay the appointment to the new term.
Okay. Please vote.
Isn't there another motion too?
Now I think I'm
I think it's
confused.
out.
I'm confused. I hate to say that.
The current motion you're voting on is to postpone it until the new term takes place.
Point of order, I can't hear.
The current motion that you are voting on is to delay it until the new term takes place.
Yes. Okay.
And I think we may have to vote by hand. Let's see.
No, ma'am, it should
It's
be.
working.
Okay, it's working. Please vote.
Bowman.
And that passes 7-3.
Okay, next item is to authorize resolution of recognition to Louder Baking Company, 2020 King Cake recognition.
Motion to delay till January the 23rd.
Okay. Motion to delay by Vice President Chavez,
Yes,
and that
please.
was second by Commissioner Mike Middleton.
Me.
Commissioner Roy
You want to speak on your motion, Commissioner Chavez?
Just waiting for some more information for the proclamation.
Okay, please vote. Okay, and that passes 9-1. Next item.
Now we move to communiques and committee reports.
I'm not up there for anything.
I don't, there's none.
Not today.
If it shows up in 2 weeks, let me know.
Now we move to citizens' comments, late arrivals. I do have one card.
Okay. Guys, thank you. Commissioner Jackson, you was on the board for communiques? Okay. Because we are citizens' comments.
Well, yeah, I just want to, express that I think we need to, as I see some commissioner-elects are sitting out there, we need to adopt, as we end this term and going into the next term, a spirit of consistency. We say one thing for one person, we do something for the next. The other thing that we need to do, and I guess I'm ending this term the way I started, is that we need to communicate better. If somebody else was going to be considered for the Industrial Development Board appointment, it would have been great to have known that as I communicated with you throughout the week. To come up here and create this convolution and confusion, this could have easily been settled. What I was asked to do was postpone until we got a resume for Mr. Marvin Muhammad. Mr. Muhammad has done what he's supposed to do and got his resume in. That would have been uploaded and provided to everybody to peruse. For us to come back and play this, him or somebody else, I don't think it's fair to Mr. Muhammad, specifically when I have removed, I think Mr. Muhammad was considered for an MPC position, most recent MPC position, and I pulled his name from consideration to support the other person. I think that is not fair to somebody who wants to be active and who wants to serve this community. Does he have some outspoken positions? Maybe so, but they're no more outspoken than people who are running around here buying women. So I just want to make sure that we're being consistent with what we're doing and not singling out people just based on that last name or just based on because they said something before. We're not going to always agree on things up here, but I don't think it's fair that we held up appointment solely because a person did not have a resume, and here we moved several appointments today with people without resumes. That is a clear double standard. I don't know who these people here are, but I don't have a resume on Mr. Jimmy Woods. I don't have a resume on Mr. Edie Festivan, but we moved them forward.
Miss Edie.
I'm sorry, either Eddie or Edie, I'm sorry.
Edie.
Okay, Edie Festivan. But we moved them forward without having a resume. So something, as my big mother would say, ain't right in the middle. Some is tainted somewhere. Some stinks. There's a foul odor somewhere. The other thing that I would like to ask is, I see we have Mr. Everson here. I received an email, Mr. Everson, would you like to come up and speak to the email that was sent out late last week?
Good afternoon, and thank you for having me, Commissioners. Jeff Everson, for the record, 1053 Boulevard Street, Shreveport, Louisiana. I don't know if you need that right now, but no, I appreciate it. I did. I sent an email out to let everybody know on December 21st during the special meeting. I received the appointment for Caddo clerk, and we have been going through the process of continuing that hiring process, but there are some precautions we want to make sure and take. You know, one of the things that I think is valuable is to make sure that we don't move forward and have something that we should have looked at. So I requested a legal opinion from the State Ethics Board just to make sure that my wife's role as the president of Robinson's Rescue is not a conflict of interest. And so I don't believe that it is, but I do want to get validation from them to make sure before we put the parish in a bad position. So. Certainly want to get an answer on that, and unfortunately the schedule of the way that they meet, they don't meet in January. So they're not going to be able to render a final decision on that until the first week of February. It is on their agenda, and they do have information. I've been in communication with them I'm hopeful maybe on an off chance we might hear back from them early, but, you know, I don't anticipate it. So I did want to let you know, and for the incoming commissioners, you know, Michelle is doing a great job. Obviously, she is helping me learn a lot as well. So I've been up here learning lessons both with Todd and Michelle, but I'm not officially able to start that position. And I believe there's some other steps that this body has to take before I can start that as well. So, so that timing should really work out okay. But just wanted to make sure so that everybody knows when I'm officially, you know, on the job. It'll be a minute, but I'm here for you until then.
All right.
Thank you.
So do we have a drop dead start date? Have you identified a drop dead start
Not yet.
date?
I haven't received one. So essentially, I have an appointment date, but I don't have a hire date yet or a start date. So I think that is probably dependent on the opinion from the Louisiana Ethics Administration, if I'm correct. Or at least it's influenced by it.
Yes. I mean, if you want to know, I guess, kind of where you stand before you start, then yes, you would need to wait for that.
And so you couldn't call and get an advisory opinion over the phone, or?
Well, like I said, I did ask if it's possible to get one in advance of their meeting, and so, you know, I'm hopeful, but I'm not expecting that.
Because-
You know, if there's a possibility I might be able to, that would be great. And the individual that I spoke with there was very helpful, you know, so there's a chance,
Right.
but it's not a.
Because usually you could call them and they give you something over the phone.
If something's already been, if a similar situation has already been written up, you know, and this one, I think he may, after he's looked at the information that was submitted, you know, they may see that it is similar enough to something that's already out there. You know, Attorney Frazier did share some opinions that she had seen, and so I was able to review some, but the situation was a little different than those. So I think the specifics of the situation dictate if you can use a pre-existing opinion or not. You know, so so it'll be a minute on that, but of course the process on the commission side, I also haven't received. You know, the charter requires that the commission set the salary of the clerk, and so that's not done until that person is it's in the hiring process. So that has to happen concurrently with this. So you know, this shouldn't really delay things, but if it does delay it a week or two, it's at least a precaution that I think is worth taking, just to make sure I don't, you know, make a move that puts anybody in an awkward position.
Okay. Well, I appreciate your due diligence and the fact that you went ahead and took those steps to get that out of the way for us. I'm excited about you coming on. Not sure how long this particular process is going to bear out, but I know a lot of folks are excited about having you on. And you know, as you see today, things can kind of start off, but you've been down here before and you've seen how council meetings start one way and end up another way. So looking forward to having you on, and hopefully we can get whatever the issue is resolved, because I think we really need to have a clerk in place.
Absolutely. I'm
for the
looking
midterm.
forward to serving all of you. Thank you so much, Commissioner, and all of you. I'm looking forward to serving in the role, and excited about the opportunity.
Thank you, Jeff. And the last thing is Dr. Wilson. Dr. Wilson, if you could have Patrick Wesley reach out to me. I have some other Safe Summer projects that I'd like for him to work on. I gave you one over there with the race there, and then I have like two more that I would like for him to start working on. I appreciate his response to the one for Centenary's Dream Week, and we'll go from there. But I appreciate you, and I also wanted to say thank you to Travis and Kelvin for working over the weekend to resolve some of those issues. I know they're working around the clock trying to resolve those animal issues, so appreciate them and their team and the follow-up and follow-through that they do. Thank you. Thank you for that. That's it for me, Madam President.
Okay, Commissioner Jackson, I just want to say, before I go to the other commissioners, that I respect the authority of our parish attorney, and there's no convolution on my part, and I will stand on my vote of not supporting that on today, but there is still an opportunity, and I will support him with or without the resume, just by the proper procedure. So I just wanted to say that.
Well, if I have to be clear, my comments were strictly to Mr. Atkins. Thank you.
Thank you. I just wanted to make that clear. And I also wanted to ask, I must call you Councilman Everson. I just had a quick question. I just wanted to ask you about, I know that I received the email likewise with my colleagues about the ethics opinion, and we appreciate that going by the proper way. I just wanted to ask you if it comes back and there is a conflict of interest, will you be stepping down, or do you consider, will your wife step down? I mean,
No, I mean, what would happen is, I mean, I'd need to get an advisory opinion. If there was a conflict of interest, and I actually don't think it would be a conflict of interest. If there was an ethical violation, it would potentially be under the nepotism clause. But I don't think that is applicable here, because no aspect of my wife's salary comes from any Caddo Parish money. And so she's not receiving anything directly of economic value from the parish. So that's my interpretation of it, and I'm pretty sure that's accurate. But if that is not the case, we'll have to deal with what is the case. So they'll have to provide some clarity. So I can't make a decision until I actually know what their final reading is.
Okay, thank you. Commissioner Lyndon B. Johnson.
Thank you, Madam President. Attorney Frazier, did you send one letter in on behalf of the parish to get an opinion?
No, I did not send a letter in on behalf of the parish. I spoke with Mr. Everson, and he sent the letter requesting the opinion.
Okay, well, in the last situation we had, the parish sent one in on behalf of that individual that got hired, and we was waiting for a verdict, but situations changed. So why would we not send one this time as we did last time?
Basically, probably because there were facts that we may not have been privy to. So I provided the facts that would affect the parish to be included with his letter. I don't really think it matters who sends it in, as long as the request is covered.
Well, I beg to differ. I mean, you are an attorney. You are paid by the citizens of Caddo Parish and us, directed by us and Dr. Wilson, to make sure that any cases like this are written in a certain manner and presented in a certain manner to get that opinion that we should have. So I would suggest that we have one to go along with that one as well.
I can do that. I certainly don't have a problem with that, Commissioner. I will caution you, though, that the deadline for the February term was the week of the 23rd of December. So if ours is sent in, it would be at the discretion of the Ethics Board whether or not to attach it to his, and it may not get considered until the March term. So as long as you know.
I'm good. I don't want us to be backtracked, or there's some other issue that pops up that wasn't addressed in the individual level that you might have had in your legal knowledge.
I don't think there will be, but I mean,
okay. I just want us to be consistent. We did with the last employee, so why not this one? Some of us wasn't up here at the time, so they don't know what I'm talking about, but I know what I'm talking about.
Come on now.
Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Lyndon B. Johnson. Attorney Frazier.
yes. I did want to point out that the commission will need to set the salary by ordinance for the clerk to be paid. So that would need to be done prior to him starting work. And your ordinance has a 2-week layover period, so if there is something that needs to take place in that 2 weeks, you all have time to address that.
Okay. Thank you. Commissioner John Atkins.
Thank you, Madam President. Two things, if I may. Madam Attorney, to your point you just made regarding compensation, where does that originate within the body? Through the Personnel Committee or through the president or the new president-elect? You know, where does that process begin?
Commissioner, basically it has to be done by an ordinance. So anyone from administration, the commission can put the ordinance on the agenda. As a matter of fact, it should have been on this agenda so that you all would have had an opportunity to address it. So I'm happy to put an ordinance on your next agenda for you all to address it.
I certainly think that,
I mean, you all will come up with the final numbers, and I assume that there will be some form of negotiation. So whatever is on the agenda will be amended to reflect what the final outcome is.
okay, someone needs to own that process, and I'm just trying
I
to.
think in order to direct us to do it, we can go ahead and do it like 21st you're saying.
Okay.
Yeah.
You got a president.
You've got a precedent.
You got a president. You got president, you got vice president, president-elect, however you want to call them. They can handle it.
Second point, as you all know from reading Robert's Rules of Order, we are directed not to direct individual comments at any of our colleagues. So for that reason, I've chosen not to reply directly to any of my colleagues. But I will say that I do not view it as an offense when one feels that there's a strong candidate that could serve in a role, and that it's not an offense to propose that person to serve in that role. No other candidate was attempted to be struck from the list. I was just adding someone to the list to be considered for that role. I still think that Mr. Bradford is an excellent candidate for the position, and I'd like us to consider him strongly when the time comes. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Commissioner Atkins. Point well taken. Commissioner Stephen Jackson.
This is my second time. I'll defer to Mr. Bowman.
Parliamentarian Bowman.
Atkins clarified already. Thank you, Madam President.
Okay.
Everything's reserved to Thursday.
All right. Commissioner Jackson.
Yes, Attorney Frazier, in order to get a, in order to do an ethics opinion on behalf of this body, it would require a vote of this body, or do I recall us saying that it would require us to authorize us to do that, whether it's an ethics opinion or an AG opinion?
It's definitely an AG opinion. It would require it for an ethics opinion on behalf of the body. In this particular case, because it is your employee, then yes, y'all would need to direct us or vote on us doing that as an ethics opinion. If it's an employee of administration, then administration.
Right, y'all just couldn't just do it. But it's your opinion. It sounded like from what I heard you say is what you would turn in would basically be the same thing he turned in.
Right.
And it's sort of, I don't know. I was just trying to see if there's any way we could hop on the phone and get an advisory opinion over the phone.
You cannot, Commissioner, because whatever they give you over the phone is not binding.
Okay.
It actually has to go in front of.
I can speak to that in my case.
In front of the board and be voted on by the board to be binding.
Okay. All right. Well, I agree with Commissioner Atkins is that, because I had put it on for the salary, but I had asked that it be removed because I'm not necessarily comfortable setting a number. I was just gonna put it on at 0 and we set a number from there and amend it up or down to whatever. Hopefully it wouldn't go down from 0, but up or down. But I agree with Commissioner Atkins is that probably next commission meeting, or even try a swing at it to make an agenda addition for Thursday. I know it would be an uphill probably, but
Next meeting.
yeah. But I agree with Commissioner Atkins. Somebody outside of, I think, the 12 members on this body should try to lead that process. But I think it would also be good to have the next body chime in on it as well. So thank you. That's it for me, Madam President.
Commissioner Lyndon B. Johnson.
Thank you, ma'am. Attorney Frazier, I would like for you to write me an agenda addition to authorize you to get an AG's opinion on this situation. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Lyndon B. Johnson. Commissioner John Atkins.
Thank you, Madam President. Just want to remind the body that when this position was advertised, there was a range that was mentioned, so we at least know where to start.
Right.
So, thank you.
Okay. I see no other members on the board.
Move to adjourn.
Meeting adjourned. I'm sorry. Before we adjourn, I have one. You good? All right. Meeting adjourned. Thank you.
Good.